News with GinaBryan.
The news with GinaGrad.
So we'll start with a little bit of local news, but it will definitely dovetail into some other things. The stay-at-home order that they threatened would kick in has kicked in here for Southern California. This is as of Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. So as we record this, you guys want to run out, get your hair cut, get your nails did, go sit outside at a restaurant patio, do it quick. And that kicked in because any region that has less than 15% bed availability at a hospital triggers this new order. And now that's where we're at. So here's what's going down. And it'll remain in place for the next 3 weeks, and then they'll reevaluate, or they won't. Bars, wineries, personal care services must close. Restaurants halt all dining. Gatherings of people from different households prohibited. And let's see, restaurants will be allowed to offer takeouts and, delivery only. Retail business will be limited to 20% customer capacity indoors. Stores will be required to ensure that there's no indoor eating or drinking of any kind. Card rooms closed because we don't have really casinos down here. So card rooms closed. Hotels not allowed to accept tourists. Entertainment productions and professional sports will be continued. They will be allowed without live audiences. Now, I'm sure he won't be the only one, but just to let you know, Riverside County, which is a county over from us here in LA, the county sheriff, Chad Bianco, said they're not enforcing this and that it's flat out ridiculous. So go to Riverside if you want to, get a little freedom.
Or Pasadena or Orange County. There's nothing going on. And Orange in Pasadena, everyone's just eating outside. I've been there with Drew. We had a steak the other day. It's just, you're out there. You're just doing it how they used to do it.
Well, Pasadena gets to play by their own rules, as does Long Beach, and a lot of cities are following suit. So, yeah, Pasadena does kind of get to do their own thing. Now, there's a bar owner. This video went viral for good reason. It's been it's been sent to me, I don't know how many times in the last 24 hours. Adam, have you ever been to because I'm sure that probably Brian hasn't. I have. Did you ever used to go to the bar Pineapple Hill in the Valley?
No. It's
a great bar. It's in Sherman Oaks. I can't remember the cross street, but we used to go there when I first moved here. It's a cool little bar, a little hole in the wall. And the owner is incredibly upset, as she should be, because the outdoor dining ban is in effect. And she has this lovely sort of outdoor setting that she made in a parking lot, but it's really nice looking and, follows all the state orders as they were. Well, now that is completely shut down. However, there's the ultimate irony in the mandate. There's a little surprise not 20 feet away from her. The video is about 2 minutes, but it's so self-explanatory. It's best just to let her show you what's going on. So this is the video that's going around. She's the owner of Pineapple Hill.
Show the front of her bar.
So this is my place, the Pineapple Hill Grill and Saloon. If you go to my page, you can see all the work I did for outdoor dining, for tables being 7 feet apart. And I come in today because I'm organizing a protest, and I came in to get stuff for that. And I walk into my parking lot, and obviously Mayor Garcetti has approved this.
It's very cinematic, by the way.
I know.
Has approved
big tent with all the tables set up.
This being set up for
craft service.
This being set up for a movie company.
And it looks just like outdoor dining with the tents and the tables.
Yeah.
And watch look what hers looks like.
I'm losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me. And they set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio, which is right over here.
It's 20, 30 feet away.
Same structure.
Looks exactly the same,
Right.
a little cuter.
And people wonder why I'm protesting and why I have had enough. They have not given us money and they have shut us down. We cannot survive. My staff cannot survive. Look at this.
Same setup.
Yeah, same setup.
Tell me that this is dangerous, but right next to me as a slap in my face.
The same structure.
That's safe. This is safe. 50 feet away. This is dangerous. Mayor Garcetti and Gavin Newsom is responsible for every single person that doesn't have unemployment, that does not have a job, and all the businesses that are going under. And we need your help. We need somebody to do something about this.
Sad. Yeah, I talked to Mark Geragos on Friday, and the judge is letting his lawsuit move forward, him representing the restaurateurs and going against the city of Los Angeles. And, it's funny. It's an interesting thing, which is so the city has its own, legal department, but they're not using their own legal department to fight Mark Geragos and the outdoor dining. They're paying another law firm. So
that's damning.
Yes. Not only that, but I said to Mark Geragos, I said, what if you were a private business and the judge upheld this thing, basically saying, well, now it's incumbent upon the city of L.A. Now they must prove why it's dangerous to eat outside. So the judge said, all right, city of L.A., if you're going to shut down outdoor dining, then you need to come up with some data as to why that's dangerous. Otherwise, we're going to have to rescind that. And any other entity, if you ran a private business, now would be the time that you would cut bait and move on, because you wouldn't want to keep paying attorneys. You're throwing good money after bad at this point, right? But the city of Los Angeles, we're paying the attorneys. That's our fucking tax money is going to pay the fucking attorneys for outside counsel to fight this thing to keep us shut down. That's what they're going to do.
Unlimited budget.
They have an unlimited budget, and they're going to keep fighting this thing. And they're not going to come up with anything good because they don't have any data. They can't produce anything. So Mark's going to know something later on today or maybe tomorrow. It depends. So we're going to keep you updated on it. But that's where we're at. There's some magical thing about eating outdoors. And again, the parks, eating outdoors, schools, the beach. There's nothing going on there. Just focus on the places there are things going on, and then you can focus your energy, and people will tend to trust you more because it's the arbitrary randomness of it all makes everyone go, oh, fuck it. Right. Mixed with a large number of you people who are making policy getting caught going out to eat. That's also undermining your point.
And not only that, which is like, well, how can we listen to you when you think this is a joke? And also the people, if you're not going to let someone work, you have to take care of them. But instead, every single person, every single inmate in the county correctional system ended up duping the unemployment department into sending them thousands of dollars. So there's really nothing left for anyone who lost their business. And I'm oversimplifying, but that's the story. Now, the woman that we just heard from was obviously very sincere and very measured. We have another video from someone who is not known for their for holding it in and just kind of letting their feelings bubble under the surface. You'll know who this is the moment I play it, expressing some frustration that the flea market over on Fairfax and Melrose, that famous flea market, is still open when the restaurants can't be. I think you'll recognize the voice.
Yo, look at this shit. The fucking Melrose Fairfax Farmers Market is popping. And I have no problem with all these people making their money and making a living. But how the fuck is this okay? But right across the street, all the cafes, all the restaurants are shut down. Look at this shit. Get your money. But who's making the decisions here? Garcetti, you fuck. Gavin Newsom with the fucking good hair. You fuck. Look, they got the music playing and all this shit. This shit don't make any fucking sense. This don't make any fucking sense. This is why motherfuckers are pissed off and protesting.
By the way, we get this thing. It's like hospitals at 90%, hospitals at 85%. I don't remember the exact numbers, but a hospital's a business, and they want to operate at 85 or 90%, just like if you ran a restaurant before COVID or hotel or skating rink. Like you want to be at that capacity. You know, if you have a club or a hotel's a great example. You would like your hotel to be full. Hospitals make their businesses. They make money. They want to hover at that point. So like when they go, the hospitals are at 87% capacity. It's like, that's where they're at. That's where they want to be at. Now there's a point where where you pass a number, and that's bad. But when you go they're between 85 and 90% full, that's where they want to be. That's what hospitals do. That's their business. All right, sorry. Go ahead, Gina.
That means their stuff's being used.
The tragedy. Oh, can I say one thing? The tragedy of that first video, the woman's video, is she's right. It's unfair, and there's no practical difference, right, between that setup and her setup. We saw it with our own eyes. It's effectively the same with a few minor differences. The difference is that they have made this they being the legislature has made this blanket thing where you can't eat outdoors at a restaurant, but they highly regulate the entertainment industry. Like I have people in production, friends who are in production who get tested 2, 3, 4 times a week because they're heavily regulated. Now, if they did something like that or found a solution similar to that for the kitchen staff, which is where all the cases are coming from, maybe we keep the restaurants open, a little bit of forward thinking or a little bit of creative thinking. But no, it's just a blanket order, and that's frankly unfair.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, Brian, with the whole Sheila Kuehl thing, eating at the restaurant after she passed she was the deciding vote essentially to shut down the restaurants, and all of the restaurant talk. And I, up until Friday, worked in the news department every night. No one's mentioned the kitchen staff. The kitchen staff doesn't come up. It's all about the server and the people sitting at the table.
Yeah. But then we saw those stats. We saw the stats when it came out.
I didn't see the stats. What were the stats?
That. It was buried at the article I read from the possibly the LA Times, it doesn't matter. Buried at the bottom of the article, literally burying the lead, was restaurants have accounted for 2,800 COVID cases. Of those, 22,795 have been traced back to the kitchen staff. I mean, it's right there. It's getting spread in the kitchen. It's not getting spread outdoors. Everyone outdoors is perfectly safe. They're all breathing the same air, under touching the same things.
Well, I think there's another strata here, which is, who are the kitchen staff in Los Angeles? They're poor Hispanic people, and they live together in small apartment buildings, 6, 7 at a time. So a lot of it is how you're living, who you're living with, and what that environment is. So when you think about cultures, for instance, for the most part, white people don't like their parents or grandparents. They certainly sure as fuck don't want to live with them. You think about the Hispanic culture. You think about that kitchen staff. Kitchen staff is probably 92% Hispanic in Los Angeles. All the people doing the prep and the cook and the cleaning and all that stuff is all Hispanic. They're all family-oriented, and they're not rich by any stretch of the imagination, and rent is super expensive in Los Angeles. So they live all those apartment buildings you pass by in, Koreatown and Wilshire, Koreatown, all that. When you see those packed apartment buildings where everything's out on the balcony and stuff, those are a family of 7 or 8 people living in this one, 900 square foot 2-bedroom apartment. So it's getting passed around in that confined space as well. I don't even know how much is going on actually in the kitchen versus what's going on at home. And also there's generations of families all sort of living together in a very small space. All right.
Well, and remember, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say they wanted to do this by county. Counties are huge. LA County is gigantic. And they said, it's basically like the sing-songy teacher, well, when one of you gets in trouble, let that be a lesson to the rest of you, that kind of thing where, well, if your numbers are so high, maybe you'll take it seriously now that we're saying the whole county has to shut down. But if you broke it up by zip code, you would see, like you're saying, that the area that the cases are concentrated are very concentrated. And one side of the county to the other, you wouldn't even, it's non-existent, say on the west side.
Right.
Compared to the east side.
So on the west side, Beverly Hills or Orange County, you have people living in you have a husband and wife living alone in 9,000 square foot.
Right.
You go to the other part of the county, you have you have 9 people living inside of 850 square feet. Obviously, there's going to be a transmission situation going on. Right. Plus, I hear the virus doesn't like Carrara marble. And yeah, it's proven. Look, Google it. If you have enough Carrara marble in your entryway,
I'm gonna get a Carrara marble
survive.
It dies right on that marble. All right, what else we got, Gina?
Right. Well, we'll do 1.5 more COVID stories because one of them is actually really interesting. But it did come out today. This isn't the interesting one, by the way. It did come out today that Rudy Giuliani has tested positive for COVID, which and then I saw everyone else on Twitter made the same joke, which is, do you get gassy? Is that a sign of having COVID? I don't know if you saw, and I'm sorry I didn't have Kaylin pull it. Did you hear the fart heard around the world?
Oh, I did not. Is that Giuliani? Giuliani, this has been a rough 17 days for Giuliani.
With the Just for Men and the Borat.
It's just been a shit show for Giuliani.
I can't believe I didn't tell him to pull it. I'm sorry. Please tell me when you have it.
Yeah, pull that finger. No, I did not hear it. Now, is it going to be good or is it a mystery, Mike? Could have been a chair squeak kind of fart.
It's real because it's not obvious. Like at first I was like, that somebody dubbed that in, but it's just subtle enough to, if somebody was really trying to overdo it, they would do, like a trombone. But this
wasn't there a woman next to him who kind of reacted
and shot him a look like you can't stop yourself, like her muscle, like involuntary muscles just looked at him. It's subtle enough where you're like, that poor schmuck.
Yeah.
So please tell me when you have that, but while you're looking for that, I'll tell you this. This is really interesting. You know how Brian May is a genius from Queen?
I guess, yeah.
Not only
hair
is
bugs
he a
me.
brilliant musician,
I guess.
He's a doctor of astrophysics.
Oh, right.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
So he is putting down his guitar and is trying to get involved with saving COVID in a way that I think you will really like. He is a doctor of astrophysics, and he says he woke up one morning with the ghost of an idea, a way to try, and we have some video, but it's okay if you're looking for the other thing, a way to design an airflow system to make theaters and arenas safe enough in the pandemic situation to allow concerts as we used to know them all take place. So we, a small team comprising of me, a Cambridge professor, and 2 top airflow experts from London CO2 Arena, met, socially distanced, of course, at the Apollo to study its ventilation system and test some theories. It's early days, and there are big problems to solve, but if we succeed, even in part, it could be a move towards saving the concerts that we miss so much. So he's getting together, and there is video of this, there it is, this sort of airflow system they're trying to figure out just to get this pumping through arenas and theaters so we don't have to do the who was it that did the OK Go or Flaming Lips, so we all get to stand in our own hamster wheel or whatever.
Right. This would be good if Giuliani rips another fart, with that positive airflow sucking it right down into the grate.
Put her in a seat.
We have the fart. I mean, again, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving after COVID, because again, farting, BO, sweating, belching, all the shit that goes on at an event where you're chugging beers. All right, we have it.
The answer. Point of order. The answer that I gave you is they didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Well, you probably know the truth.
Well, we have to see that again. But the woman did look. Now, he was talking, so she would have been looking anyway. But let's see if she gave a real look.
She shot him a look.
I got to see it. It's small on my screen. I got to be honest with you. It's 12 feet away and it's small. I got to look at it.
Yeah.
You don't acknowledge your own fart. That's a fool's errand.
It's a rookie move.
Yeah. We'll try
the answer. Point of order. The answer that I gave you is they didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Well, you probably know the truth.
That seemed like a fart, and she seemed like she looked. Is that AJ Benza's?
Yeah, that's AJ Benza's cousin.
Now that's a fart.
That's a fart. Nothing better. All right, what else we got, Gina?
Well, I'm glad you brought up AJ because remember last time he was on and we were talking about, he, I think, brought up the Zappos guy and how he thinks there's some hinky business going on with this house fire.
Yeah.
Well, because it's AJ, he's never far off from what we end up finding out as the truth. So I found a little more info on this house fire because I was very curious. And AJ had mentioned that he doesn't think that this was a random accidental fire. Well, it was and it wasn't. So according to Fox, Shea, Mr. Shea, who owns Zappos, he was 46. He died November 27th, 9 days after firefighters were called to his home in New London, Connecticut, where he was staying. The Connecticut medical examiner has ruled death an accident, but not just like a random, wire short circuited. So he was kind of a party guy. Mr. Shea spoke often about partying. That's the central figure of his work and his life, drinking, drug use. He also grappled with isolation and depression because of the pandemic. He allegedly also had a longstanding fascination with fire and became fixated on he had like 1,000 burning candles around his house. He became fixated with finding out what the body could live without, started starving himself. He whittled to under 100 pounds. He would try not to urinate. He would deprive himself of oxygen. He would turn on nitrous oxide and it could induce hypoxia. He was increasingly away from his longtime friends and family in San Francisco and Vegas and was surrounded by this new group of like yes men that would indulge all this crazy behavior. According to his friends, the new group included some former Zappos employees who also moved in with him into his house and were taking advantage of his living situation and collecting salaries for doing nothing. So it seems like there was this guy was troubled as opposed to just a random electrical fire.
Nothing you said would
That's what
indicate
AJ
trouble.
No, you're right. I might have been.
Yeah,
I was projecting,
can't,
editorializing.
You can't be too. You got to be into either candles or booze. You can't really be into both. If you're into a lot of booze and a lot of candles, it's going to be an issue. You know what I mean? Like the Hasidim, they're into candles, but they're not into booze.
That's right.
I mean? And
their hair and clothing are so flammable, they have to be
right.
careful.
You got to be sober. And then like the Irish are into booze, but not so into candles. So that's fine. But you can't be into booze and candles. That's a disaster.
Deadly combination.
That's what happens. Yes. And 100-year-old homes because they don't make them out of poured foundations and tilt up steel walls. Those are tinder boxes. So you can't go. The combo is turn-of-the-century wooden homes, obsession with candles, and a love of booze. That's always going to end up in your demise. That's how it ends.
Your demise.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what about that 94-year-old on CNN who loved booze and balloons?
Yeah.
By the way, why don't they ever be honest and go, he loved booze? You know what I mean? If you ask me,
a pint a day.
Oh,
yes.
Not to shit on your point, but those are my favorite broads. They're always like, Sally Johnson is 103 years young. And when we asked her what keeps her living, it's a whiskey a day. Like, I love those old broads.
I know. They're always like, I eat sardines out of the can. I drink Jack Daniels out of the bottle. I smoke Camel unfiltered. It's like, okay, crazy lucky witch. Shall I write this down? What else do you do? I never used a crosswalk. Never. I don't use eye protection when I'm welding. What else?
I don't believe in safety
What
on a
else
gun.
are your secrets? By the way, never talk to a 103-year-old about how they got to 103. they ever know. And then they always give their keys to life, but their keys to life never have anything to do with exercise or religion or health or hydration. It's always just lucky strikes and playing lottery and some things that are insane. Like I play bingo on Wednesday nights and it keeps me young. Really? That's what keeps you young. It's not a science. We should no longer talk. We shouldn't talk. It's like talking to an old person about how they got old is like talking to a tall person about how they got tall.
What's your secret?
Yeah, what's your secret? Right.
Well said.
All right, let's do one more, Gina Gran.
All right. Well, I know that none of us are really into the whole cancel culture thing or something that was said a million years ago and everyone has to apologize. But I found this one to be the exception. I found this to be rather fascinating, actually. If you're familiar with the children's author Roald Dahl, he wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda and BFG and the Witches.
He's at my birthday cocktail party.
There you go. He's one of Brian's best friends.
DFG's coming on the show tomorrow.
Oh, perfect.
All right.
Oh, I think they might have something in common. He said in a 1983 interview that there's a trait in the Jewish character that does provoke animosity. Maybe it's a kind of lack of generosity toward non-Jews. I mean, there's always a reason why anything crops up anywhere. Even a stinker like Hitler didn't just pick them for no reason.
Stinker.
A stinker like Hitler.
You little stinker.
It even showed up in his art. If you ever saw Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, that included a large-nosed child snatcher, which was his sort of anti-Semitic trope that he seemed to embrace. And although he died 30 years ago, this statement is making the rounds. The family is apologizing, saying deeply apologizes for the lasting and understandable hurt caused by some of Roald Dahl's statements. But pretty bold. Like, I like the ones that are just kind of out there. There's really no way to, we didn't take it out of context.
I have a vague Chitty Chitty Bang Bang memory. How old was he when he died, by the way, Max Pat? I bet he was younger than everyone that CNN reported on. So the child snatcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I have this vague recollection. You say, I think kind of looked like during Nazi propaganda, all those posters and the propaganda with the big-nosed Jew. Like, I think he was kind of loosely modeled on a Nazi propaganda poster of a Jew. That's, 74.
Yeah.
Would have been the youngest person on that CNN list.
Oh, tragic.
He loved children's novels and he hated the Jews. Now he's gone. I wonder if we can find a picture of that. But it's something I never thought about. I have not seen that movie since I was 4, 7, or whatever the hell I was. But I now have a vague recollection of them looking like a scary propaganda poster.
Oh. The one from the movie is quite grotesque.
Is it? Big nose?
I mean, it's elongated. Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. That is,
Yeah. Didn't take much.
It does look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't take much.
Looks like a propaganda poster.
Scare people back then. Yeah, it's got that feel. All right, Gina, let's bring her home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
GinaBryan.
That was the news with Gina Grad.